Fred Richani of TSC. We have right here via Zoom a very special guest. He is a world-famous dialect coach, worked with some of the biggest actors in the world. He's also an actor himself. He's a voiceover artist. We're talking to the great Tony Alcantar. Tony, thank you so much for joining us from beautiful Vancouver. How's everything going?
So today is a good day to talk to me. I got a smile on.
Man, you've got some amazing credits on your resume. Just for folks that may not be familiar with you, you've worked with the likes of Ewan McGregor, Halle Berry, Mel Gibson. The list goes on and on. Done work on Fargo, Man in the High Castle, Fear the Walking Dead. You've done voiceover work for the Godfather video game from back in the day from EA, SSX. Just an incredible career overall. So before we dive into everything and how you got here, can you tell us a little bit about what you're currently working on?
Well, I'm working on the mini-series. It's a 10-episode mini-series called Shogun. And if you were alive in the 1980s, you probably know that, with Richard Chamberlain starred in the main role. And so it's being resurrected here in Vancouver. It's, like I say, it's a 10-part series, so it's pretty epic. It is a huge budget. It is a big to-do. So I'm working with the actors on that who require, surprisingly, a Dutch accent, a Portuguese accent, a Spanish accent. One of the characters needs a Japanese accent, even though the show itself is pretty much 50% in Japanese. It'll be subtitled, but that's taking up most of my time here right now. And it is a big show. Watch it when it comes out.
Definitely looking forward to that. And dialect coach, usually when I think of a dialect coach, I'm thinking of somebody that helps you with speech and diction. And that's certainly one part of it. But when you talk about the accents, I would imagine you had to master these accents yourself before you teach it to other actors. So how did that all start for you? Were you just good at impressions? Is it something that came natural? Did you stumble upon it later on in your career? How did it all come about?
Well, like most people in life, the jobs that you find fall in the cracks of the things you like to do. And you get older and you're like, wow, I can get paid to do this, whatever this is. As a kid, like most, I don't know, class clowns, you do a lot of mimicking, you do a lot of imitation, whether it's your parents, your relatives, things you see on TV, cartoons. I've always had a love of cartoons. And so you do that and you just goof around. Well, when I got out of high school in Chicago, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started taking, like a lot of people in Chicago, improvisation classes. And I took classes at a place called the Players Workshop of the Second City, which really, really shaped me as a comic actor and as an improviser. And this is the school that Dan Castellaneta went to. This is where I met Steve Carell, and I started doing comedy with him as a student. And so you just start doing things. And when I moved out to Vancouver 20 years ago, there's a strong voiceover community here. And there was a real need for people to learn accents and dialects. Well, I had studied that at Roosevelt University in Chicago, part of my undergrad and my grad work. And I threw my hat in the ring because I thought, I can do this. I've been doing these kinds of things without being paid for it earlier. I've been playing roles as an actor. Why not give it a go? And as you go along, you fine tune what you already know. But the key thing is this: you have to make it accessible and applicable to the actors, because once you start talking with an actor, he, she, they don't want you to pick them apart. They want you to lift them up. And that's a skill in and of itself. That's the hardest part of my job. Always being supportive with the knowledge that I have.
Well said. And as far as gaining that confidence and then working with actors, who was like the first major actor you worked with that made you kind of realize, wow, okay, I got an alternate career path here?
Well, one of the shows that had me on my toes and on my heels was when I worked on Fargo, because I love the movie Fargo. Mm-hmm. And the show came out, they were developing it for many years. And we went to camera in 2013 and 2014 for season 1. And while I had worked on big shows at that time, I knew this is really big. Mm-hmm. It's big because not everyone can do that accent. And because the show had been dormant for so many years, my perception was people are afraid of this thing. And I actually had to lace up my belt and really get on my game face. And I had to present a picture that I know this and I can do it. Let the other people be afraid. So working on Fargo really allowed me to exhale as well as inhale, knowing that I can do this thing. And this was, well into my career, but that was really it's sort of like when I became a father, then I knew I'm an adult. I had been an adult before that, right? But it's like, this is the big leagues. This is the big leagues. Even though I've been working, hold on, I'll give you another example. It's like when the player eventually makes it to the Yankees. He's been working for the Cardinals. He's been playing for the Cardinals, Colorado, Pittsburgh. But when he gets to the Yankees, it's like, this is the Yankees. You see what I mean? You know what I mean?
Definitely. And it's interesting because you said you went from Chicago to Vancouver. Now, normally, like the pathway that I hear about from professionals like yourself is going from wherever they lived to New York or Los Angeles. You went to Vancouver. And at the time, well, Vancouver's a big hub for film and TV. At the time, it was not as well known. So what drew you to go from Chicago way out west of Vancouver?
Okay. That's a good question. So I had been, I won't get into the reason why, but I had been a landed immigrant of Canada since the early 90s, but I was living in Chicago. And so in the end of 97, 98, I can't remember when, I was watching the Emmys. And at the end of one award, David Duchovny, okay, remember X-Files was big then, he holds up his Emmy and he goes, "Thank you, Vancouver." And I remember going, Vancouver? What's Vancouver? So I harken back to my mind of the Chicago Blackhawks playing the Vancouver Canucks. This is in 1970, 71. It's like, where is Vancouver? Pacific Coliseum. What? It seemed like the edge of the earth. So I did some research and I was surprised to find out that many American shows were shot in Vancouver, the third largest film and TV center in North America behind New York and California. I don't know if it's in that order. So my thought was, I need an easy port of entry to do the thing because I'll have some cachet as an American in a quote unquote Canadian market for the American film and TV business. So it was a strategic move that actually opened a lot of doors for me. So I know what you're saying when you ask about going from the big town to a smaller town, but I was too old to go to LA, even though I have many friends in LA. Yeah. It was like, I need a softer port of entry.
What's your favorite part about Vancouver?
As a guy who's got asthma, I can breathe here. As a guy who's got asthma, I lived in Toronto. I was in the second city in Toronto for 92 and 93. And man, I got to tell you, it was like Chicago, only worse. The air was so bad. Mm-hmm. It was tough. So I can breathe here.
Fair enough. That's definitely important. So you became a dialect coach after you got into acting. So what was your first kind of big break in acting as far as like where you became a working actor?
Well, being cast in the second city, which is, a theater production, that was sort of I know I can do this stuff. I knew I could do it beforehand, and I couldn't get cast in Chicago. I went to the finals each time. It's like, who's the team? The Dodgers of the 40s. I would make it to the finals each time, but I get bumped out and I never make it. So one year I went with a friend of mine. We drove up to Toronto because the general auditions were being held. And I didn't make it that year. So I went back the next year and I finally got into the touring company. And I thought, good. I'm glad everyone notices that I can do it, because in Chicago, even though they knew I could do it, I never got that thing. And so from that point on, I felt, yes, I can do this thing. And from that point on, there's been dry years, obviously, in between. But for many years, this is how I've been making my living. I'll give you this thing. It can be taken away in a moment. There's always someone better. There's always someone on your heels. So I got to keep sharp. That's for sure.
Are there any actors at this point that have specifically sought you out as far as you being the guy? Like, for example, Michael Jordan had Tim Grover. Other people have specific trainers or coaches that they specifically like to work with. Are there some people that you can reveal that specifically request you that you work with on a fairly regular basis?
I don't know that. That information is not open to me.
Oh.
I don't know. See, my business is kind of hush-hush. Mm-hmm. They don't really tell you everything. They tell you what you need to know. Everything's on a need-to-know basis, trust me. But if you get tapped, like get in there, you just assume they want me. I can do this. I had a producer once. I was a little bit gun shy to work with this particular A-list actor, okay, who was a little bit off standing. You know, he kept me at arm's distance, but that's his persona. And I said to the producer, I said, you know, I'm kind of being edged out here. Now, whatever the reason is the reason. I don't think it was anything I was doing. And he said to me, Tony, you're here because you're needed. So find a way. Now, that might sound a little bit intimidating going up against an A-list strong alpha male actor, but you find a way and you do it. So while I don't know who's personally requested me, I have clients from all over the world who take private sessions with me via Zoom. I've been doing Zoom before COVID, and they somehow know my work. They somehow like my work. And thank God I just work.
There you go. That's awesome. And is there any actor that's pleasantly surprised? You've worked with so many actors, but is there one that really pleasantly surprised you that maybe had some trouble mastering an accent that eventually like they really surprised you and were like, oh my goodness, like, damn, I knew I was good, but this is really good.
That is a question that's often asked of me. And the relationship I have with the actors, I could never reveal that. I can never reveal that because I want to always keep working. I get a lot of, I will tell you this. I remember working with Sam Rockwell on a production. And years later, I'm working with Vince Vaughn. He goes, yeah, Sam was talking to me about you. 5-6 years later, after he had worked with me on another project, and now I'm working with Vince and I'm working with Mel Gibson on a particular project. So because I was good with Sam, that reputation. So I can't tell you who has problems. I will tell you that the A-list actors who I work with, they really enjoy the help. In other words, they know that I'm there to help them. The sad news is some of the D-list, F-list actors are like, I don't need help. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm here to help you. So I will say that even though, you know, A-list actors in extreme, some, you might think they're snob, they're particular, all the bad stories circulate. This one needs M&Ms. This one needs flower petals in her toilet. You know, the garbage stories that go out. The A-list actors I work with are really genteel. They're nice. They got there because they know they're good. And if you're good, you know you got help getting there. Whether it's an agent, a director, a cinematographer, they know who to be good to. It's a smart man's game.
Absolutely. And you got to keep your mind and body sharp. You need good people around you, great coaching, great producers. Like you definitely don't get there alone. And I'm sure for you and your business, I was checking out your website, you seem to have a great staff as well that helps you out with this coaching, right?
Yeah, I've trained a number of people here in Vancouver who aren't dialect coaches by nature, but who have what it takes to be a great dialect coach. And so a number of the women who I don't want to say employ, I kind of subcontract, they've got what it takes. So literally, if a production can't get me, I will refer one of them. Or if a client can't get me, I will refer one of them. And they get the same thing. It's sort of like franchising, but it's the same deal. Those coaches who I'm referring to, my associates, they carry the same personable persona, and they can carry the flag forward to succeed on behalf of the actor. And that's the key thing, on behalf of the actor.
As far as all the movie and TV work you've done as an actor, is there one on your gigantic resume that stands out when you look back on and go, man, that was a pretty cool experience?
The funny thing about being an actor is a friend of yours might say, who's not an actor, hey, I saw you on TV last night. And I'll go, what was it? And the person will say, oh, it's that Hallmark thing. And I'll say, which one? Or you're on that detective, that sci-fi thing. And I'll go, which one? Or you are on that CW one. And go, which one? The shows here are so, it's like going to a food court. There's your Middle Eastern food. There's your 5 Italian places. So a lot of times I'd have to look at my resume and see what I've done. I know that sounds snobbish. I know that might sound like, what are you, out of your mind? How do you not know this? I don't know. I've done a lot of stuff. And here's the thing. Most actors don't like watching their work. So when the stuff comes out, I just kind of, I'll give you an example. My kids, when they were small, watched me on this thing called A Fairly Odd Summer. And I had a big role in that. I was one of the comic characters. I played Ed Ledley, who's based on a cartoon character. If you look it up, Fairly Odd Summer. And that was a fun role. The director was great. It was way over the top. They gave me a toupee. I had this custom-made suit. And I was very proud of it. And so my kids are watching and they're like, Daddy, I don't like you in this. So that really poured the water on me. It's like, so from then on, it's like, I'm not even watching my stuff. So I don't know. I don't mean to be coy or shy. I don't know. It's not for me to enjoy. You enjoy it.
What I did enjoy is you're working in the Godfather video game, which I think
that was fun.
Yeah, okay. I think it's kind of a forgotten series. I hope EA or somebody can pick up the rights, do a remaster, because those are some fun games on PlayStation, Xbox, and I think most recently the one was on like the Wii. What was it like working on The Godfather?
Okay, yeah, I can talk about that. That was really fun. I can't remember the name of the director. He was from San Francisco, but via New York, I'm sure. We did the motion capture on that, so we're all dressed like those unitards with the balls and all that, and so we did all of the physical work on that. I don't know how many weeks that took to do that. So that was for EA. Then we also did the face capture and the voice. So I forget who I was playing. I was playing Paulie, somebody or other. So they wanted some guy like this, some mafia guy, right? So
yeah, Paulie Gotto, I believe the name.
Paulie Gotto. So, and I did several voices on the thing, but Paulie was one of them. So he was the guy in The Godfather where he's the one who gets murdered. He gets strung in the neck in the movie. Mm-hmm. He's the guy who kicks out the windshield as he's being garroted in the back. So I play that character. And so they've got the little balls on your face and they're in the camera's like it's a real close up like that. So that was really fun working on that, doing the New York accent, doing the whole New York swagger. Like I say, I'm not from New York, but I love the vibe of New York, especially that era. Who doesn't like The Godfather? That was a blast, and the local Vancouver actors who were in that too. I think Michael Dobson was in that. I got the faces in front of me, but a real talented crew on that one too. Well directed, well played out. I wish I could do that work a lot of stuff like that.
Another random thing that's on your resume on the gaming front. SSX on tour, which is snowboarding. Do you snowboard at all?
I don't, but they had me come in and do all these different voices. I remember the day, I remember the director's face, and they're just throwing me all this stuff. And they say, okay, improvise this, improvise that. And they just throw lines at me. And it's like, I don't know how to do that, but I know what it's like to play a character doing a thing that's exciting. Right. I don't know how to skate. I don't know how to skateboard. When I go up to the mountains here in Vancouver, I'm like, is there a skating rink somewhere? Because I like hockey. I've never snowboarded or skied in my life.
Hey, you made it work, though, like a true actor.
Yeah, this is the thing. You got to substitute the thing that you know for the thing you don't know. And the audience will go, yeah, that's right.
So we always like to ask our guests some kind of random rapid fire questions just to get to know them better. Are you ready?
Sure.
What's your favorite late night snack or cheat meal?
I like Chicago style popcorn. That's that cheddar and caramel.
Okay, I'll have to try that. I've heard of Chicago pizza. I've not heard of Chicago.
Popcorn. That's good too. Okay, yeah, sure.
Favorite color?
I was told tomato red is something I should stay away from. I actually do. Black in my old age gives me that somber, mature look.
Perfect answer. Very actor-ish answer.
Yeah, I know. But I'm not wearing a unitard.
Favorite actor besides yourself?
I grew up loving Jimmy Stewart. I thought he just really gave the Midwestern feel, that heart of America feel. Thought he was a great actor.
Most awkward moment as an actor or dialect coach, or both?
Wow. I'll tell you a horror story. Do I have a minute to tell the story?
Yeah, you have a few minutes.
Oh my gosh. I worked on a show called American Dreams. I went down to LA for it. The pilot was filmed here. I went down to LA. So the first episode here, the next two filmed by the same director there. And then when the fourth episode came up, a new director came in. I don't remember the guy. And so I had a small part that could have gotten bigger in season one, but it didn't. And I just faded. A lot of characters just kind of fade out. Mm-hmm. And the new director came in and he's I don't want to say glad handing, but shaking hands with the main cast and all that. And here, because I came from Vancouver, I knew the director for the first, in essence, 2 or 3 other episodes. And everyone got the hello. And I go and I say to the guy, "Hi, my name's Tony." I said, "I work as this character." And, and I gave him a little something and an idea, or a little germ of an idea. And he says to me, "I don't think so, laddie." And I go, "Okay, got it." I walked behind the flat of the set. I'm like, "What am I doing? I don't think so, laddie. What am I doing here?" I had such anxiety. My face was so red. I called my fiance, who's now my wife, in Vancouver. I'm like, I got to get out of California. I felt so small. I felt like a nothing. And I don't blame the guy. He didn't know who I was. I don't know the guy. But the response of, "I don't think so, laddie," that just got me right through the heart.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well, that seems awkward, but I guess as an actor, right, or as a performer, dialect coach, whatever, you're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days, but you have to have
I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. I should have been smarter.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been smarter.
But sometimes you have those moments, and you got to have short-term memory, right? You got to get back on track.
Oh yeah. It's nothing personal. Mm-hmm. He didn't mean it personal. Yeah. He's got other things to deal with.
This is kind of a random question. I'm a wrestling fan, so I'm going to ask you this. I don't know if you've ever been asked this before. You were in the Marine 3 Homefront.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to work with The Miz?
I dialect coached The Miz on another movie.
Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Okay, I got to ask you then. What was it like working with The Miz?
He was great. He played a guy with a New York accent. He was a serious guy. He was really good looking on camera. I mean, not just his build and everything, but he really was a good student, or is a good student of acting. I remember sitting in the green room talking to him. Man, this guy is a real smart guy. I wasn't a wrestling fan or anything, and I don't have any prejudice against that profession. So I just see this good-looking, nice hair, blue-eyed, as far as I remember, muscle-bound guy playing this role. He's got a nice set of teeth, nice choppers, nice everything, and he was a good student of the accent and had fun. I like the guy.
I did not expect to talk about The Miz here, but that's pretty cool. And shout out to him. He's done really well for himself. Reality TV, his reality show just got renewed by USA. He was on Dancing with the Stars and did really well. And yeah, I think he did like maybe 1 or 2 other Marine movies after that. What was the movie that you worked on him with? Do you remember with the New York?
It was a Christmas movie. It was Christmas Bounty. Yes, okay. There it is. That's where I worked with him, like one-on-one. I was hired to do all the accents for it was New Jersey, New York accent in that show. Yeah, I worked with him on that. On the other thing, I think I worked in a role, but he wasn't in the scene that I was in. So we appeared in the credits together.
I know you said you can't reveal all the actors you've worked with, but I know you have an interesting story about one of them, right? As far as somebody that pleasantly surprised you that really stepped up.
Yeah. Halle Berry was up here in like 2008, 2009, working on a feature, which she should have been nominated for an Oscar. She was nominated for a Golden Globe for it, called Frankie and Alice. And she was also one of the producers on it. So I worked with her and Stellan Skarsgård. They were the number 1 and number 2. And she is one of the nicest people, one of the kindest people you'd ever want to meet. And she looks exactly like you think she looks. Like, and funny story was, while she and I were talking, she and I have a mutual friend from Chicago, who was a roommate of hers in like 1990. I'm like, wait a minute, I know her. How come we never knew each other? But the big takeaway is, as big of a star as she is so normal and nice and kind and not phony. When I see stories about her, I'll tell you the truth. You know how the tabloids kind of like rag people, because that's their job, to sell papers. I feel hurt because she's a nice person. I held her daughter in my arms. Her daughter and my daughter are born 1 year apart, like almost to the day. Wow. So she's one of the kindest people. Another story, Rufus Sewell is one of the funniest actors. I was with him for 4 seasons on Man in the High Castle. He plays a Nazi, not a nice guy. Mm-hmm. This guy is so funny. He's so funny. He's not a monster. He's a tall, strong, intimidating guy, features wise. One of the funniest guys you'd ever meet. He had people cracking up all the time.
And we'll get out of here on a high note. What's the best piece of advice you give anybody for success?
You have to realize you don't know everything and accept the help when it's given you. Whatever it is. I don't care if you're a writer, a director, an actor. If someone says, hey, I'm here to help you, just say, thanks. They may connect you with someone else, even if you don't need the help. As soon as you say no, you've cut off any opportunity to grow. Say yes and let it grow.
Love it. Well, Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure learning about your career, learning about your journey. Where can folks find you online if they want to keep up with your work and possibly book you for a session or two?
Well, it's an easy website, TonyAlcantar.com. And Instagram, Facebook, I think I'm known as Tony Alcantar Dialect. If you do a search of my name, you'll find me and I can help you and we'll have some laughs in the process.
Excellent. And bonus question.
Yeah.
Will the Bears win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years?
Oh, no. But the 6th year, yes.
All right. There we go. Awesome. Tony, thank you so much.